I made my power rankings in a little short right before the NBA season started, and I had these two teams at 1 and 2, LA Clippers followed by Golden State Warriors respectively. And what have they been doing lately? Well, absolutely stinking it up. 3 and 4 are the Golden State Warriors, and 2 and 4 are the Los Angeles Clippers. The common disclaimer that I need to make clear every time we do a video like this: are we overreacting? Too soon? We're only 6-7 games into the season. Well, it's right, we're not even 10% in. There's still so much left to happen. Am I really concerned? Yes, I am concerned about one of these two teams, and it is not the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors, look, slow start. Why is that? Well, mainly it's the pedigree. Mainly it's because we are very familiar with this team, this organization, and losing 4 out of your first 7 games. It's nothing that can't be fixed. You've lost 2 games in a row. They weren't against good teams. In fact, they were against really bad teams. You lost to the Charlotte Hornets, who are 3 and 3 by the way, by the grace of God, with no LaMelo Ball, and Terry Rozier has been sitting out. Don't even ask me how that's happening. I really don't know. But I guess Gordon Hayward's playing pretty well lately. I guess it's just the early season. Like, you walk into a team's building and it's Charlotte, and you're like, well, we can sleepwalk through this game, come out with the win. They almost did it, and somehow they choke lead in the 4th quarter and they allow Hornets to tie the game. And not only that, they didn't even wake up for the overtime. You beat the Miami Heat, you beat the Kings by 5, you whoop the Lakers on opening night, but you lose games to the Nuggets. Absolutely pissed on by the Suns. And now you're going into Miami for your next game Tuesday. But yeah, I'm not worried. Klay Thompson has had a really slow start, and he didn't play last night, and they lost again. But the defense has been a large issue. But you know, what can we say? Championship hangover. It happens. Steph Curry looks great. Jordan Poole has looked really good on occasions. Andrew Wiggins. Besides those 3 guys, it has not looked very good. I guess Draymond Green has been himself. But yeah, Klay Thompson has been struggling to say the least, and nobody else has really been able to contribute much, and the guard depth on this team has been absolutely awful. Dante DiVincenzo having to miss games. You got Ty Jerome out there, who I didn't even know they had until a couple days ago. Just random dudes you're slotting in at these backup guard positions. You put so much pressure on Steph Curry to create offense as it is, because you're not getting anything from your 4 or your 5 in terms of shot creation scoring. So Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, James Wiseman, they can toss the ball to him in a pick and roll, but Jonathan Kuminga has really not done anything at all, impressed in any way, shape, or form this season. Pretty disappointing start for him. I have faith in the champions. This is nothing the great ones can't overcome. And Klay Thompson, the great thing about this season for him is that he had a full off season to get back and train, and even though he started off slow, he has a full season to ramp up and get into mid-season form. The Warriors are always playing the long game, and the Clippers are too. And let me just get back to them, because everything that goes for the Warriors can also be said about the Clippers as well. Like, the Clippers, more than anybody, have always been playing this game where, you know, we got to take a lot of games off so that by the playoffs, everybody can play every game and play to their fullest capability. But it really wasn't supposed to go down this way. I don't care what anybody says. I know how secretive the Clippers organization tends to be when it comes to matters such as Kawhi Leonard's recovery process. What is really going on with the injuries? I remember when he tore his ACL in the playoffs against the Jazz, and the Clippers, they just said he had like a sprained knee. They didn't even say anything about an ACL. They had him questionable to come back in a bunch of these games in that Suns series. I know that they don't like to let the public know what's going on with that, but I'm just going to tell you right now, this is not right what's going on. Kawhi Leonard has had plenty of time to recover. The idea was that he would come back and play this full season the way a Kawhi Leonard does. I mean, obviously he's not going to be out there for every single game, but the fact that he's missing both games in back-to-backs, still hasn't played 30 minutes in a game yet, and he's only played 2 games. So the Clippers, of course, are not going to tell us anything, but we just have to be concerned. And not only do we have to be concerned about him, but Paul George has just not been the Paul George that we expect him to be, especially coming into a year where we know he's going to have to take on more responsibility since Kawhi Leonard is just slowly gaining his rhythm back. He's not playing that much. We've talked about this Paul George conundrum with he's better as though number 1 than the number 2. I feel like he had his struggles mostly playing next to Kawhi when he was more of a support guy and not the guy. And then when Kawhi goes out, he plays like his best games, especially in the playoffs when Kawhi is out. And so far, Paul George has been utterly disappointing. He's supposed to be the guy to run the show, and his shooting percentages have been awful, turning the ball over a lot. He's not been his effective self. He doesn't seem to be able to break down a defense the way that he has been. He's 32 years old. I'm not going to start saying that he's washed or anything, but it's definitely not been the start of the season that he wants and the Clippers want, because if Kawhi Leonard's not out there, it's up to him to be their 25-point per game scorer, 6 assists per game. Get your guys involved, because look at the rest of this team. Yes, these are some great players, great supporting cast type players, but not really running the show type guys. And Reggie Jackson's supposed to be the type of guy that can run your offense from a scoring perspective, shot create from 3 levels. So far, he's been also incredibly disappointing. I think he's being hampered by an injury. The Clippers have gotten their MO as just a very well-coached team with incredible depth. You have 10, 12 playable guys that can play 2 ways. Pretty much everybody has a role that is cut out for them, that their responsibility doesn't really necessarily go beyond doing 1 or 2 things unless you are Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. I think John Wall's been a bright spot for this team, but only playing 21 minutes a game is just not going to be enough. Him and Reggie Jackson, they haven't shared the floor that much. Somehow Marcus Morris has been the best player on this team, and that's just not going to cut it. So for the LA Clippers, I'm honestly most worried about Kawhi more than I'm worried about anybody else, because as we and everybody knows, this team has no championship aspirations possible if Kawhi Leonard is not in the lineup and fully healthy, fully ready to go, fully to his superstar self. And so right now, there have to be a lot of questions with what's going on with that. I do think that over the course of a season, half the season, 20 games, the Clippers have time where Paul George, Reggie Jackson, and the rest of the guys can get on track. But then when you add Kawhi back into the equation full time, I think it also changes how you play. Yeah, Clippers starting off the season incredibly slow. They're currently 12th in the Western Conference, only trailed by the Kings, Lakers, and Rockets. Only have gotten wins so far this season against the Lakers, a game they played really badly in and barely won, and then a game against the Kings, they won by 2 points. So these losses, they haven't been close. They lost to OKC twice. Each of them, well, one of them was by 14 and the other was by 8. They got killed by the Suns, and they just got killed by the Pelicans last night. So I'm much more worried about the Clippers than the Warriors. We can trust the Warriors and the regime, and once they get that guard position fully healthy, and of course once they play the good teams, you know they're going to get up for those matchups. The Warriors can lose a game here and there to these bad teams. We know they're the Warriors. It's not like they're always taking every team completely seriously. They know not every game really matters if they make the playoffs. If they have their team by the playoffs, they know they can beat anybody. And the Clippers, I would like to think the same thing is true about them, but it's just the continuity and the level of chemistry. That's always the question we had about the LA Clippers. It's like, they got into the playoffs in the bubble and they lost, and the reason that they lost not only because Paul George had a meltdown, but team chemistry was terrible. You put great talent on teams together, and on paper you think it should make sense for them to be able to play together, but sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes they just need more time to get to know each other and know how to play with each other. And if Kawhi keeps sitting out these games, the chemistry is just not going to be where it needs to be come playoff time. Like, if he is not fully acclimated, fully inserted to the role that he needs to be in by the end of the year, and that is a lot of time, of course, there's still so much time for him to recover and get back to that shape. It's just already been a year and change since he got hurt. You would just expect that he would be back fully ready to go and play these full minutes by now and not have to sit out every game. Like, what is even going on, you know? Like, something is going on with that knee. It's not acting right, and Kawhi Leonard is just, he doesn't have the greatest track record of health. So there are just so many more question marks with this Clippers team, I would say, a team that I did put number 1 in the power rankings, but it was really the level of talent, and that, you know, you get a fully healthy season with these guys to play and gel, and they would look a lot better in terms of playing with each other. Now you have Kawhi, who's going to miss a lot of games probably this year, and I don't even know how their team is going to look. I do trust Tyronn Lue. That is one guy that I think can handle a task like this, but it just makes it a lot more difficult for them. So that's going to do it. Hope you enjoyed Bucketology, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.